March 1964. Stage 17 bustles with the organized chaos of a Jerry Lewis picture, The Nutty. Professor wrapped 6 months ago, but Lewis is back on the lot preparing for his next comedy when he spots something that makes his performer's ego flare. Audie Murphy practicing his draw on the Western set next door. Jerry Lewis has always been competitive. It's what drove him to break up with Dean Martin, ending the most successful comedy partnership in entertainment history. It's what pushes him to perfect every pratfall, every facial expression, every comedic beat, until they're mechanically flawless. And it's what makes him think he can outdraw America's most decorated war hero. Lewis watches Murphy through the soundstage doors, studying his technique with the analytical eye of Kukuro, someone who spent 20 years perfecting physical comedy. To Lewis, everything is performance. Every dot to movement can be broken down, analyzed, and improved through repetition and technique. Success comes from Tessigan, understanding the mechanics of what works and executing them with precision. You know, Lewis says to his assistant director, adjusting his thick-rimmed glasses, I bet I could draw faster than that. The AD looks at him like he's lost his mind. Jerry, that's Audie Murphy. So? He's an actor, just like me. I've been studying quick-draw techniques for my Western parody scenes. Spent 6 weeks with the same instructor who trained Glenn Ford. Speed is speed, technique is technique. What Lewis doesn't understand, what he's about to learn the hard way, is that there's a difference between drawing fast and drawing to kill. Between performance precision and predatory instinct. Between entertaining an audience and eliminating a threat. Lewis has been obsessing over quick draw for months now, part of his preparation for a Western comedy he's developing. 3 hours a day with Hollywood's premier quick draw instructor. Hundreds of repetitions. Frame, dot by frame analysis of his own technique using high-speed cameras. The same methodical approach that made him a master of physical comedy. His instructor, a former B-Western actor named Chuck Harrison, has been impressed with Lewis's progress. Never seen anyone pick up the mechanics this fast, Harrison told him last week. You've got natural hand-eye, coordination, and your understanding of timing is exceptional. Murphy notices Lewis watching and nods politely. He's used to other actors studying his gun work, trying to learn the tricks that make his weapon handling look so authentic. Most think it's all about practice and debauch technique. None of them understand that what they're seeing isn't acting at all. Lewis saunters over with the confident stride of Hollywood's highest-paid comedian. At 38, he's at the peak of his career. Writer, director, producer, star. He's accustomed to being the smartest man in any room, the carrier pod, one who figures out angles others miss. His success comes from understanding what makes things work, and was pleaded by Jambui, then executing them better than anyone else. Audie! Jerry Lewis, I've been watching your technique, very impressive. Murphy looks up from checking his weapon, a Colt .45 Peacemaker that he's field-stripped and reassembled, twice since Lewis started watching. Thank you, Mr. Lewis. You know, I've been working on my own quick draw for some comedy bits, been studying with the same instructor who trained Glenn Ford and Randolph Scott. Mind if I show you something? Murphy's expression doesn't change, but something shifts in his eyes. A calculation. An assessment. He's heard wafug this before from actors who think gun work is just another technical skill to master, like learning to tap dance or da caballo. Play the piano. Before we continue with the demonstration that would teach Jerry Lewis the difference between comedy and reality, let me ask you something. Have you ever been so confident in your skills that you challenge someone way out of your league? Hit that subscribe button to see what happens when Hollywood ego meets authentic danger. Sure, Mr. Lewis, always interested in seeing different approaches. Lewis grins, mistaking Murphy's politeness for encouragement. This is exactly what he was hoping for. Chance to demonstrate that Jerry Lewis can master anything he sets his mind to. even skills that seem to belong to other people's domains. He positions himself in the quick-draw stance his instructor taught him, weight balanced on the balls of his feet, right hand poised 2 inches above his gun grip, left hand relaxed at his side, eyes focused on an imaginary target. The stance is textbook perfect, exactly what you'd learn from the best Hollywood quick-draw coaches. "Time me," Lewis says to his assistant director, who produces a stopwatch with the resigned air of someone who's seen Lewis turn everything into a competition. A small crowd has gathered now, crew members from both productions, drawn by the spectacle of Jerry Lewis showing off his latest obsession. Everyone knows Lewis is competitive, the stories about him timing his own pratfalls and demanding to see other comedians. Box office numbers are legendary, but this is new even for him. Lewis takes a breath, centers himself the way Harrison taught him. Visualization. See the draw in your mind, feel the weight of the weapon. Anticipate the muscle sequence. Execute with precision. Lewis draws. His movement is clean, precise, technically flawless. The gun clears leather smoothly, comes up in a perfect arc, settles into firing position with mechanical precision. It's an impressive display of Hollywood gunfighting, fast, controlled, repeatable. The kind of draw that would look fantastic on camera and impress audiences. The stopwatch clicks. 0.17 of a second, the AD announces, clearly impressed despite himself. Lewis grins and holsters his weapon with a flourish. "Not bad for a comedian, right? I've been practicing 3 hours a day for 6 weeks. Amazing what you can achieve with proper technique and dedication." The crew murmurs appreciation. 0.17 is genuinely fast, faster than most working actors can manage, faster than many professional stuntmen. Lewis has every right to be proud of what he's accomplished through pure technique and obsessive practice. Murphy watches silently, his pale blue eyes taking in every detail of Lewis's performance. The technique, the time, stance, the follow-through, the obvious pride in achieving technical perfection. The way Lewis treats the gun, like a prop in an elaborate magic trick rather than an instrument of death. "Very impressive, Mr. Lewis," Murphy says quietly. "Mind if I try?" Lewis's grin widens. This is exactly what he was hoping for, a chance to show that Jerry Lewis can compete with anyone, even a war hero, when it comes to pure skill and technique. In Lewis's mind, this isn't about comparing military service to civilian accomplishment. This is about one professional respecting another's technical mastery. "Absolutely! Let's see what the legend can do." Murphy positions himself casually, almost carelessly. His stance isn't textbook. Weight shifted slightly forward, right hand relaxed at his side rather than poised above his weapon. No visible tension or preparation. To Lewis, who's studied every aspect of proper quick-draw technique, Murphy's form looks almost amateur. The crew goes quiet. Something in Murphy's demeanor has changed. The polite actor has vanished, replaced by fan for something else. Something that makes seasoned stunt coordinators and prop masters instinctively step back. There's a shift in the air, a tension that has nothing to do with entertainment and everything to do with authentic danger. "Ready when you are," Lewis says, his voice carrying the excitement of someone about to witness his own technical superiority validated by comparison with a respected peer. Murphy doesn't respond, doesn't nod, doesn't acknowledge the comment at all. He simply stands there, looking at Lewis with the same expression a wolf might wear while studying a rabbit, the polite distance of "Wolka." Professional courtesy has been replaced by something else, the focused attention of a predator evaluating prey. Then Murphy draws. But calling it a draw is like calling a lightning strike a bright light. Murphy's gun doesn't appear in his hand, it materializes. One moment his hand is empty, hanging relaxed at his side. The next moment it holds a trion weapon aimed directly at Lewis's heart with the casual precision of death itself. No one sees him move, no one tracks the motion. The gun simply exists where it wasn't before, like some maid. Fundamental law of physics has been temporarily suspended. The movement, if it can be called movement, happens in the space between thought and recognition, faster than human eyes can register. Lewis stands frozen, his own weapon still holstered, his cocky grin replaced by the pale mask of someone whose base just stared into an abyss. The stopwatch in the AD's hand shows impossible numbers, but no one bothers to announce them because everyone understands that what just happened exists outside the realm of measurement. The silence stretches. Murphy doesn't lower his weapon, doesn't smile, doesn't move at all. He simply stands wets there with his gun aimed at Lewis's chest, letting the comedian understand what real speed looks like when it's BO, not performed for applause. Finally, Lewis finds his voice, though it comes out as barely more than a whisper. How fast was that? The AD glances at his stopwatch, blinks, checks it again. His face goes white. The numbers don't make sense. It says 0.08 seconds, but that's impossible. Human reflexes can't move that fast. Murphy holsters his weapon in a motion so fluid, it looks like the gun is flowing back into leather. The own movement is automatic, unconscious, the result of muscle memory that operates faster than conscious thought. Speed isn't about time, Mr. Lewis. It's about intention. Lewis tries to recover his composure, fall back on humor the way he always does when situations get uncomfortable. Well, that's really something. You'll have to teach me that technique sometime. Murphy's expression doesn't change. It's not a technique. What do you mean? Techniques are things you learn from instructors. Practice in front of mirrors. Perfect through repetition. Murphy's voice is quiet, conversational. But there's something underneath it that makes the hair on everyone's necks stand up. What you just saw isn't something I learned, it's something I became. Lewis laughs nervously, his analytical mind trying to process what he's witnessed. Come on, Audie. Everything's technique when you break it down. Speed, timing, muscle memory. It's all just practice and proper form. Murphy takes a step closer to Lewis. Not threatening exactly, but close enough that Lewis can see his eyes. Clearly. And what Lewis sees there makes his blood turn cold. Not anger, not ego, just the flat, emotionless calculation of someone evaluating the most efficient way to end a life. Tell me, Mr. Lewis, when you drew just now, what were you thinking about? The technique, making sure my form was right, my timing was good, that I looked professional. Exactly. Murphy's voice cuts through Lewis's explanation like a blade. You were thinking about looking good, about impressing people, about proving you could do it. Murphy pauses, letting the words settle in the suddenly oppressive silence of the soundstage. When I drew, I was thinking about killing you. The words hit the soundstage like a physical force. Conversations die. Equipment stops moving. Even the mad, distant sounds of other productions seem to pause. Everyone on that set has just heard something that exists. Outside the normal boundaries of Hollywood banter, Lewis tries to laugh, but the sound catches in his throat like broken glass. Come on, Audie, it's just practice, just fun. Murphy's gaze never wavers, never blinks. Is it? Because when I looked at you just now, when I drew that weapon, I wasn't practicing, I wasn't having fun. I was calculating the most efficient way to end your life. The temperature in the soundstage seems to drop 10 degrees. I was thinking about how the bullet would enter your chest, which organs it would destroy first. How long you would have to understand what was happening before your brain stopped working. Lewis takes an involuntary step backward, his face pale. Jesus, Audie. That's the difference between your 1700ths and my 800ths, Mr. Lewis. You're performing speed. I'm accessing lethality. You're trying to look fast. I'm trying to kill fast. Murphy's voice remains conversational, friendly even, but every word carries the weight of absolute truth. The truth of 240 confirmed kills. The truth of 3 years spent killing or being killed. The truth of muscle memory that doesn't distinguish between practice and combat. When you practice your draw, you're thinking about technique, about form, about impressing people. When I Access mine, I'm not thinking at all, I'm killing. And killing happens faster than thinking. The crew stands in stunned silence. This isn't acting, this isn't performance. This is something else entirely. A glimpse into the mind of someone who's killed 240 men and carried that knowledge home with him. Lewis has built his career on being the smartest person in the room, the one who understands angles others. Miss Glow, who can analyze any situation and find the formula for success. But standing here, staring at Audie Murphy, he realizes he's encountered something he cannot analyze, cannot break down, cannot master through technique and practice. How? Lewis's voice is barely a whisper. How do you live with that? Murphy's expression softens slightly, and for a moment he looks almost sad. The predatory calculation fades, replaced by something that might be pity or understanding. You learn to carry it. The same way you learn to carry anything heavy. One day at a time. He turns to leave, then pauses. Mr. Lewis, you asked about technique. Here's the only technique that matters. When you draw a weapon, you better be prepared to use it. Because the man facing you might be. Murphy walks away, leaving Lewis standing in the middle of the soundstage surrounded by 50 crew members, who just witnessed something they'll never forget. The day Jerry Lewis learned that some things can't be mastered through practice, can't be perfected through repetition, can't be understood by anyone who hasn't. Looked death in the face and pulled the trigger first. The assistant director approaches Lewis, who's still standing motionless in the center of the set. Jerry? You, okay? Lewis nods slowly, but his usual quick wit, his rapid-fire commentary, his need to analyze and understand everything, all of it has abandoned him. For the first time in his adult life, Jerry Lewis has nothing to say. Word of the encounter spreads through Hollywood within hours, though the details change with each telling. Some versions have Murphy outdrawing Lewis by full seconds. Others claim Lewis never even attempted to, but draw. All of them miss the point. This wasn't about speed. It wasn't about technique. It was about the difference between performing danger and fora, as the outdraw, being dangerous. Between studying violence and living with it. Between drawing fast and drawing to kill. Lewis never spoke publicly about the incident, but those who worked with him afterward noticed changes. He stopped bragging about his quick-draw skills, stopped challenging other actors to tests of speed or technique, stopped treating every interaction as a competition to be won. Because Jerry Lewis learned something that day that no amount of practice could have taught him. He learned that there are men in this world who've crossed lines he couldn't even imagine. Men who carry darkness he dalaspi dahwana. He wairahoa. Couldn't understand. Men who've done things that change the fundamental wiring of their minds and bodies. And when you challenge those men to contests of skill, you're not competing with their technique, you're competing with their capacity for violence. And that's a contest no civilian can win. Murphy continued making westerns for 7 more years, always with the same authentic weapon handling that. Made other actors look like children playing dress-up. But he never mentioned the Lewis encounter, never used it for publicity, never treated it as anything more than a brief educational moment. Because for Murphy it wasn't about proving superiority. It was about protecting people from misunderstanding. Licity, what they were seeing. Lewis thought he was watching gun technique. What he was actually watching was the siyasabiwad, physical manifestation of 240 justified killings, distilled into muscle memory that responds faster than conscious thought. The stopwatch said 0.08 seconds, but the real measurement wasn't time. It was the distance between performance and reality. Between learning to draw fast and learning to kill efficiently. Between Hollywood speed and combat lethality. In a town built on illusion, Audie Murphy reminded everyone that some illusions are more dangerous than takapiobal, others. That some skills exist outside the realm of entertainment. And that the fastest draw in the world is being hirekta, meaningless if it doesn't come with the willingness to kill. Jerry Lewis thought he was challenging Murphy's technique. What he actually challenged was Murphy's humanity. And for 0.08 of a second he saw what lay underneath. Hit that subscribe button and tell us in the comments, do you think there's a difference between being skilled and being dangerous. And unfortunately, they don't make men like Audie Murphy anymore.